How's it going, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. The figure that we'd like to show you today is the Deformation Space Recording Alliance. And this is their take on a Masterpiece-style blaster. And this figure, I feel two ways very strongly about this. On the one hand, this figure has a really nice transformation, has really nice proportions and aesthetics. On the other hand, like, there's a lot of stuff about it that I feel like they could have done better. The workmanship on it from the production side is not really great, and I can point out a few of that as we're reviewing this. But there's a better fit and finish that it could have had. Which is not to say that I am going to dissuade you from buying this figure. I think that this is an excellent third-party blaster, and it captures the Toon aesthetic better than the KFC one, which I also thought really good. But you know, it's an excellent figure for different reasons. But anyhow, without any further ado, let me get into this more deeply. And first of all, let's take a look at the accessories. So he comes with a gun. It's all molded in black, sculpted very well. Yep. Sculpted very well. Fairly simple construction. Not really any paint on it whatsoever. One thing about this figure, so I've heard some people say that it's got like, oh, the whole thing's all covered in paint and whatnot. It is absolutely not. This is all bare plastic, almost all of it. There is, in terms of paint on this figure, paint on his head, paint on his chest, which is die cast, paint on these buttons, which are die cast. There's paint on just this red part of his elbow here. Paint on the red part of his hips, front and back. There's little bits of paint down here. And then, like, I was trying to get the rhyme and the reason of it. But this piece right here is red plastic and painted to be gray. Of course, paint on the die-cast panels here and here. But by and large, like, this figure is mostly bare plastic. Now, they treated the mold with, they basically sandblasted it, but they used like an extremely fine aluminum oxide powder. And so you get like this really fine finish on the mold without janking with a lot of the tolerances. So that's what causes this kind of like almost powdery looking finish to it. And you can see in places, well, I mean, you can see in places where they did stuff to adjust that mold after the fact. But yeah, this is all mostly bare plastic, which means that it's going to wear well. It's not going to like rub off and whatnot. Though the downside of it is that the surface finish is kind of delicate, and I don't know if I can get any of this to show up in camera. But if you're looking just in the, like, how the light reflects off it, like, you'll see this, like, scratch along here. That's just from handling. That's just one piece of plastic rubbed up against the other, and it physically, like, burnished a line through it. But yeah, actually, if you look at, let me pull this out. It's got an extra face in, like, a dime bag. Well, it's more like a 50-cent bag. Like you can see here, here's the sprue mark down here. They painted it after they took it off the sprue. And that's part of their process, is that they painted it after they took off the sprue. But there's so many bare sprue marks in here that that's only one indication that it was not painted. Like, that's bare plastic because you can see the bare sprue. There's no paint on that. But anyhow, sorry, I distracted myself from talking about accessories. Accessories. He comes with a gun. Not a lick of paint on it, but it is sculpted very well, and it does look very nice. It's got Masterpiece style peg on the handle. And that plugs into a slot on his hand, either hand. Oh, you're going to want to curl his finger in first so it gets around this little trigger guard. So he can have dangerous trigger discipline. Curl his fingers around. I do like the hands on this figure. Most specifically, the way they did the thumb on the hinge and the ball joint makes it really nice. There's a number of figures that over time I had wished would have the hinge and the ball joint. He also comes with 2 of these speaker cones, and those can be done quite simply by putting his hand in the transformation position, which is fold the thumb down flat against the base of the palm, fold his fist up. We're going to open this panel, flip that around. That's going to reveal a peg, and the speaker cone will just plug into the peg, and now he's got speakers that he can blast at people. I mentioned that he comes with an alternate face. He actually has the alternate face on him. This isn't my figure. Well, actually, this may just pry off. I was thinking that the head needed to be disassembled to take it off, but it may just pry off. Oh, good. Yeah, it just pries off. Oh. I thought that the head needed to be disassembled to change out the face, and I was like, well, I'm not going to disassemble somebody else's figure for them. But if you transfer the eyes over to the secondary face and then plug that in, now he's got, this is actually his original face. The more stoic looking face, instead of his open mouth hair, his hair face. And then last but certainly not least, he comes with a whole ass other figure, which is his, oh gosh, I don't remember the name of that guy. My bad, I'm sorry. But yeah, he comes with this little rhino tape guy. And again, sculpted really well. Nice nice shade of plastic and whatnot. These gold parts are painted there. A little spot of paint on his eyeball too. Some gunmetal gray on here. This will show up more in the tape mode to accentuate the tapiness of it. But in terms of posability, this gun's head goes up and down. His legs have got a joint up here and then like a couple joints down here. Tail moves, and then the back legs are very much like the front legs. To get him transformed up, you can leave these attached, but they are held on with very shallow pegs. And so they're probably just going to fall off anyhow. So for simplicity, I am going to just take them off. We're going to split this body up along here. These little parts are on sliders. You're going to slide them in and then fold them in. This part here is going to fold up, and then, well, before you do that, you want to fold in his little ear. And then fold in his horn. So there, that ear folds in, the horn folds in. Bring this around. The foot's going to come around and basically poke itself and then fold up like that. So the foot comes in, folds flat against itself, and then folds all the way in. Oh yeah, this panel I still need to fold in. This panel is going to come up and around, and then for the back legs we're going to extend these out, fold these legs up, and then we're going to bring this around on this hinge right here and And the tail is going to sit into this little depression here. And then these guns are going to go back to right back to where they were. And this is more or less a standard MP-sized tape. So blaster will hold like MP-sized tapes. Though I will point out that due to the tolerances of this figure, like that is a very tight fit. And it's difficult to get anything out once you get it in. You can, of course, go cheater mode, which is what I fully recommend. And poke it out from the front, from behind. This feature in here does slide, and then you're supposed to be able to push this middle button here to bring that out. But I'm not going to lie to you. It is not a very good mechanism. They should have set this up on some sort of like rails or whatnot, something to keep this. What's happening in here is that you've got a spring that's pushing on it, and that spring is not pushing evenly on this panel. It's pushing on like only one part of it. And then this panel is not very well constrained. It's fairly loose in here. So once you push this down, the spring pushes up against the bottom. It goes cattywampus and binds up. So it's not a very well-made mechanism. It could have been a lot better if they had put in some sort of bushings or sliders, some sort of a bearing surface to keep that going, or even just like added in like a secondary, I guess due to the way this is arranged, they probably couldn't have added in a secondary spring. But like they could have engineered this better, is what I'm really getting at. I mentioned before that it has just like nasty nub marks on it. Like here's nub marks, nub marks, nub marks. This is a big old spot here from where they ran a pin through here that keeps, yeah. This is the pin that, let me show you exactly which pin it is. This is the pin that keeps the like back panel that covers up the head. See how it folds out here on this pin? That pin goes all the way through, and this is where the end of it like came out. And that's like a big old chunk of plastic. See, that just comes off. Stuff like that. That would be caused from imperfections in the mold or crap that they left in the bore of that before they put the pin in. I mentioned that it has mean sprues in places. There's a sprue mark right there. I showed you the big one on the knee. Big sprue mark in there. And again, like these are cosmetic things for the most part. There were some obnoxious sprue marks on this guy that I thought maybe were going to affect how the tolerance of this tape goes. The Ramhorn, that's his name. I just remembered. Ramhorn fits inside the chest. So I had worked some of those off, but that didn't do a damn thing. So, like, they could have done better with the assembly and getting it from the sprue to the finished product, but it works, and it works pretty well, and it's actually quite an elegant figure. So let's get into posability, and then we'll do transformation. So in terms of posability, his head is on a ball joint, but it's really kind of constrained, so it'll go up and down, not really any side to side. He does have a hinge here that brings his head way back, and then it rotates just fine. His arms are on a ratchet that goes all the way around. A hinge that brings them out for the full tree post, plus this other hinge that brings it up all the way as high as you want. I do like that it has this little chunk in here to like fill in that gap, and then it even has a chunk in here to fill in that gap. That's always a nice thing when they add that in. Some of these tolerances are really like hit and miss. Like this bicep joint, this is firm and tight, and it feels good. But this one here is a lot tighter, to the point where at first it's worked in a little bit since I've, you know, got this in my hands yesterday. I've been handling it so I can familiarize myself with it. But this joint was really tight when I first got it, and the guy who loaned this to me says that when he first moved it, he felt that he was going to break the damn thing off. Joints should never be tight enough that you feel like you're going to break the damn thing off. That's never a good thing. Elbow is on a double joint, so it goes for the full bend. The wrist is on a hinge, like a mushroom peg here. When it's in certain positions, you can get a little bit of a bend out of it, which is nice. Thumb is on a ball joint here and a swivel here, or pivot. Fingers are on a pivot. Each one is separately molded. I do like how this thumb is on both a ball joint and a pivot, so that you can get good thumb positioning out of it. Thumbs are one of the things that I think a lot of figures could do thumbs better. There's some figures that I really like the figure, but the thumb doesn't have enough joints in it, and it's constrained. And so it makes it so that you can only position the thumb in certain places, and it's kind of awkward. He does have a waist joint, which is quite tight. He also has an ab crunch, which is super cool. It's got two of these little panels that fill it in from the back. Makes his waist look kind of thin from the back, but like, it's really nice, really well done. It would have been nice, I think, that if his waist was a bit lower, but, you know, whatever. Hips are one of the things that I'm super iffy about, because, like, this hip fills in this space completely, and there's no cut and no way to get around that. To bring it forward, like, that's as far as it'll go until you take it and bring this down on this double hinge in here, and now you can bring it up as far as you want, bring it back that far, bring it out for the full Van Damme, though the full Van Damme will work far before you bring it all the way down. He's got a thigh swivel, double jointed knee, yeah, double jointed knee, which is nice. His ankle tilts like a little bit, like that much, and then he's got a toe bend mostly up and not really any down. As I mentioned, die cast on the toe, here on the bottom of the foot, die cast for these buttons here, die cast for the door, except not this plastic insert, just this metal part here. And that's it for die cast content on this guy, aside from, like, you know, fixtures and whatnot. Oh, yeah. And this panel's die cast too. But all in all, I think that the robot mode looks really good. The sculpt is really nice. The overall look of the plastic, like that powder blasted finish, worked out really well. Like, I think that it really accentuates the look of the figure. Certainly for building like a cartoon style look to him. The plastic feels nice and rigid. It's not mushy or weakish feeling. It's really kind of nice. But anyhow, let's get this guy transformed up. I've already put this hand in, so we're going to get this hand in. And just fold the thumb up, curl the fingers in. Now, unlike the position you need to put it in to get his cannons on, you don't need to turn it any more than that. And in fact, we're going to go into here, and we're going to unturn that because we have to do some funky things with this, and that would get in the way. we want to take this panel here, bring that up, and then we're going to take and turn his arm inwards like so. And then this is going to come up, and this tab here is going to plug into this slot right here. Like that. And we'll quickly do the same with the other side. Bring that in, pull this panel out, fold this up till the panel tabs in. There is that. We're going to take this panel and pull it all the way out, which we got to disconnect it from down here as well. Oh yeah, that's a stripe of paint. Bring this panel out here, and then we're going to fold out these guys like so. These panels, they're all on the back. And it's really interesting that they put work into like making the back look nice as well, the back of the alt mode. So this was very much something that they didn't really need to put work into, but they did. And I like that. That's kind of a nice little thing. So that's basically the upper torso all done. Now let's get on to the lower torso. You want to pop this guy open here. Pop this guy open here. You kind of want to pivot the ankle to get this out past the toe. Pull this out here. While you've got this in this position, let's fold the toe up. This is going to slide around and then fold out like so. Oh, before we get too much farther, we do want to bring this chunk out like so. That'll give us clearance to get stuff like this out. Then bring this in. This panel is going to come up, swing around, and then fold down. You've got this little tab is going to flip around. This tab folds out. I'm not sure exactly what for. I think it's to help you to align this all together, but it doesn't really do much. This panel here is going to kind of pull up from, it pegs in on this side. And that's going to turn in like so. And then you're going to take this, you're going to fold it right here at this hinge. You can see this hinge right there. We're going to fold that in, bring this up. And then before I get this all closed in, you can kind of see how it all fits together. This little section here is going to fit into there. Let me actually get this hand pointed out more. And that's just kind of how that fits together. On the back, you're going to have, this panel is going to fit here, just hang out there. Then this tab is going to fit into that slot right there. That's going to help keep the leg attached into the back. And before I get too much further, I do need to take and open up this crotch panel here, flip it around, and then it's going to peg in under here. That opens up this slot here, where this is going to plug in. And it will not stay securely until you get both tabs into that hole. So let's get to work on the other leg. Again, pop this guy open here, bring this out and out, tip the ankle, bring that in, bring this out, bring this in, bring this chunk out. Did I get that back in? I didn't. This chunk. I just remember that when I pulled out the other one. And then we can take this panel here, fold that around, flip that around. That actually covers up this little painted detail there. Fold this back in flush, bring this up, turn it around, Fold it back down. Bring that around, bring that out. Untab this guy, bring it in. Fold up this leg, fold up this hip. I am going to just bring this hand out more, because why not? Save myself just a little bit of effort. And then this panel plugs into that panel. Come on, plug in, stay plugged in. And then just plug all that in, tab it into place, give it a good squeeze. I'm going to fold out these parts here. Oh yeah, this guy here gets folded down. Tab these together. And there you've got Blaster in his alt mode. And this alt mode looks really good. Very low on the fake panels. Like, yeah, it does have some false panels that come in to cover up this detail. But they look really good, and the details are on point. I like that a lot. A little bit of a misalignment in this section here. This one must not have been installed correctly. It sits up high by I don't know, 0.2 of a millimeter or whatnot. Not a whole lot, but enough to be noticed. Oh, I bet that flips up to kind of fill in this gap. Cute. Not sure if that's necessary, but it is cute. There's little tabs right in here that hold these panels in surprisingly well. This tab here also works surprisingly well. From the back, he looks pretty damn clean. I like that as well. You can, of course, still open this up. To get at the cheat, if you need to eject an eject from it. I unfortunately don't have any like actual Masterpiece cassettes anymore because I sold off my Masterpiece Soundwave, so I can't. I don't have any, you know, officially scaled tapes anymore, so I can't judge how well other tapes would fit in there. But yeah, I like it a lot. I think that it looks really good. Not sure that this is specifically what my collection needs, but I know that a lot of people collect Masterpiece figures, and I think that this is one of the better ones. You would certainly have to look at the difference between the KFC, what's his name, and this guy to see if you prefer the smooth animation aesthetic or the like greebly tech aesthetic that the KFC offering has. But I think that this is definitely a figure worth getting. But that's pretty much all that I've got on this. These don't go anywhere. Unless, yes, we can mount him. No. Anyhow, thanks everybody for watching. You guys are fantastic, and I will catch you on the flip side. See ya.